that we have been able to record a number of personnel working to secure the border because of what we've been able to do. Seizing that fentanyl, we've done it in a historic way. That's because of what this president has done. I just talked about 23,000 federal agents that have been able to be, that we've been able to hire and put at the border to secure the border. On top of that, historic sanctions going after traffickers and other financiers are helping disrupt fentanyl supply chains throughout their flow to the U.S. And we're really expanded access to treatments like that are saving lives, if you think about it, which prevent overdoses, expanding as our fentanyl test strips. And through the removal of the X waiver, anyone registered to prescribe controlled medications can now prescribe life-saving medication to treat addiction. So again, we are seizing fentanyl at record historic levels because of what the president has done to secure our border. And look, we've also coordinated, made sure that we're coordinated our relationship with Mexico to deal with what we're seeing as it relates to violence, as it relates to cartel. That is a relationship that we've continued to build with Mexico, an incredibly important partner. You saw that when he went down for the summit in Mexico City. So the president is dedicated to this and is doing the work that we're actually seeing at the border, again, when we think about fentanyl.
But the violence aspect of it, now Americans are being slaughtered. Would President Biden be taking the same approach if it was Al-Qaeda or ISIS operating just across the border from an American city?
The president takes this very seriously. He takes this very seriously. The FBI and other agencies have been on top of this from day one. And so that's what he's going to continue to do. When it comes to Americans' lives and when it comes to the safety of Americans, the president's always going to make sure that that is a top priority.
Would President Biden ever consider using the U.S. military to disrupt cartel operations?
I'm just not going to get into the military and how it's being used. Okay.
I want to go back to the question about the FCC nominee. Gigi Sohn has a statement to the Washington Post.
All right, Peter Doocy asking Karine Jean-Pierre some questions about the killings at Matamoros and what the president plans to do about it. And as she says, the president takes it seriously, which is sort of a pat answer. Very seriously. Which is sort of a pat answer for almost everything that she's asked when it comes to what's the president doing about it.
On foreign policy, anyway. I mean, it seems to be her go-to playbook answer. Nobody seems to have yet pressed her on what that means to her, to the president. I mean, it's not a sufficient answer, if we're being honest.
Yeah, it's unclear what this administration is doing about the border violence and the fact that Americans will go across the border, they'll be mistaken for somebody else, and they'll end up dead. You've got members of Congress who are trying to do things about it. Dan Crenshaw has introduced a bill. He's building bipartisan support for a bill that would put together basically an AUMF authorization for the use of military force to go against the cartels. It might be problematic because how do you use the U.S. military in a foreign country like Mexico? But
at least it's a policy proposal, right? It's a place to start, fleshing out a national conversation about this, acknowledging it's a real and persistent problem. It's more than, you know, the president takes it very seriously.
Yeah, you can take a lot of things seriously. It's doing something about it. That's
exactly.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.